Oh, so I knew that was coming, man. Right. So let's address it from a spiritual angle, a physical angle. And then we got to get into layers of protection as well, man. So listen, I'm not the one to dwell on the problems. I tell you that all the time. As a man, I don't believe we should do that. Um, I also think that definitely there is an attack on women, whether we want to say it's slavery, whether we want to say it's Jim Crow era, LBJ welfare programs incentivize women, or when the man wasn't around, which I just think it was really men not being around. But nevertheless, whatever the case may be, it's definitely clear to me in today's world, society that we live in my opinion, we have weak biological men who can't dominate in the male arena. They exit out the male arena, go to be a woman so they can dominate in women arenas. And I think that is very insultful. It's insulting rather. And we see a Supreme Court justice, first black woman, get nominated, and they ask her what a woman is, and she don't want to play the game for the sake of Democrat politics, and she won't tell you what a woman is, right? And so it's absurd. It's absolutely an attack on the woman. And I think that from a spiritual angle, women need to understand what original nature is. We call it Wu Qi in China. We're really talking about a primordial state of existence before the physical existence. In Egypt, this is Ptah, this is the mound, okay? And so I like to do a viewpoint from the heavens. This is how God sees the creation of the universe, okay? So we're zooming into the Milky Way galaxy. That's where we live, okay? And then when we zoom on in, we see our solar system, which is identical to the model of how our cells operate. The electrons being the planets going around the nucleus, which is the sun, okay? So now we're here on Earth, okay? So now as a woman, the first thing you need to understand while you're here on Earth is you need to understand, do you have a connection to this thing called the moon? Why? Because the moon rules all of the waters on the Earth as far as its gravitational pull, high tides, low tides, and the human being is majority of water. And so I know women's menstrual cycle who syncs with the moon. Salute to the women who also got apps on their phone who pay attention to their menstrual cycle, which really is them paying attention to their reproductive cycle, okay? So salute to you because you actually done something great and you said, hey, I need to know what's going on with me, even though you may have not known that it's a cosmic phenomenon that you can reference that to, which is the moon. So one of the first things I do every single month in the Patreon is I print out a calendar to show you where the moon is at along with planetary bodies. And I call this personal biorhythm, and men are to fill this out too. You are to see if you're on a cycle. When your period come, hit it. If you're feeling extra loving today and want to be in your sex love mode, you need to mark that. If you have an angry day, you need to mark that. If you have a positive, great day of manifestation, it was just positive emotion outside of the norm, mark that. Why? Because that may be on a particular rhythm. If you find out a rhythm, then you can make a prediction of what to do. So you can manifest more of that thing versus it coming upon you unexpectedly. Okay? And so it's one of the things that you have to do. Now, since we on Earth and you understand your relationship with the moon, again, I know a woman, her cycle was coming on every time the moon was 19 degrees Virgo, precisely to the degree. Blew her mind, right? And so that's a real phenomenon. So let's make a connection and see if you're there. Then understand that the Earth is encapsulated by 12 zodiac signs. That's why it's called a belt. So these 12 signs encapsulate in circles around the Earth, right? And so you need to know what those 12 signs are, which ones are compatible with which, in a sense. And this is going to be great for your mate selection, okay? And possibly, really, the children that you bear as well. But a lot of us already had children, and now we have to reverse engineer, look at it, and see how we can use this to best coach them and guide them to their potential. You understand what I'm saying? And so I expect that from a woman. So all of that stuff is more of the spiritual nature of what I expect for those that's in what I call the fixed gate, the way of heavily balanced, which is the way I teach the cosmos, okay? And so now that we got that out of the way, let's get more to some physical stuff, because I know that's really the crux of your question, right? So physically, I think we have to identify what type of woman you are, right? I believe that there's really three types of women. A woman that is predominantly yin, she's soft, she's nurturing, she's more of a housewife in a sense. There's a balance of a yin yang woman who is soft, nurturing, but she's also a go-getter and ambitious. And then there's a woman that's totally young, right? And that woman is out of balance, to be honest with you, okay? So I'm going to address the first two, well, really only the first two, okay? Because again, the young woman is super duper out of balance, okay? And so when you have a yin yang woman like Keisha Kayor, shout out to Gucci, his wife, to me, in my opinion, personifies this energy absolutely the best, right? I see a woman who is feminine, fine, just super sexy, right? But then I see her in her yang element of working out and grinding. Again, I always say you'll see Keisha, who's a millionaire, at the Bonner Brothers convention, still selling product at the table, doing credit card transactions like she ain't no millionaire, and her husband ain't no millionaire, right? Still getting to it, right? So she's a beautiful blend of what I would call yin yang energy at the same time, okay? Then you have a woman that's totally yin. Shout out to my OG, April Mason. You know, I remember April told a story. And see, this is what you got to understand as men, and the power of women as well. Y'all got to understand your own power of femininity, right? We can create, and I ain't talking about sex. See, creation deals with something invisible called thought, and then manifestation. And these are symbolic for man and woman. And notice that it ain't the man thinking and giving y'all ideas and y'all going out and working. That's not what this is. There's poles at work here. And so I remember April sharing the story that her ex rang her door. He came in and they watched the movie and he slept on the couch. That following morning, he woke up and was like, "Thank you, I got it." And she's like, "I knew you would." And this wasn't no sexual thing. And she's saying that pretty much basically he just needed to be in a feminine environment. So whatever it was that he needed to get out, he had to get in the right feminine environment for it to come out of him. And I found that to be so dope, and I know that's so true. So you have a feminine woman, she's a feminine woman who understands the importance of environment, okay? Here's the thing, to digress a little bit too on physically, because see, women, you got to understand that there's an agenda that's against you. There's an agenda that don't want you to connect. There's a movie out on Netflix, and we're gonna do this homework assignment in our Patreon because it's really talking about the laws of the zodiac. But it's called To Live to Be 100, the Blue Zones. You need to check that out. And I'm telling you, this is so freaking dope. So the commonality that I saw that the author didn't even note as one common thing, although he said community is one, was really the community of feminine energy. That was the key. These women happy working in the kitchen, in the garden, doing these old school, organic, natural nature things. That really was the catalyst, was the collective feminine consciousness that was going into this, was helping people live to be over 100 years old. It was the feminine energy that was doing that, even though in some cases the men may outlive the women, right? And so I found that to be phenomenon, which bleeds into women. You have to be honest about something. See, you got the cultural program, but you also live in a society that tells you that, I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. You know, your man to cheat and you would take him back, right? And I'm not saying that you're supposed to accept that. I'm not saying you're supposed to be in poly. All I'm saying is you have to identify what works for you. You got to be 100% real. And most importantly, and see, this is the thing, it's not a one size fit all reality. That's the problem in the West. They said everybody be monogamous, everybody do this, and you can't do that with humanity, okay? And so you have to understand your relationship style. So don't be fronting and sitting up here acting like you don't have the bandwidth and the depth to allow another woman into your space. I ain't saying into your house, but I'm just saying into your space, right? Where in all actuality, you really let her into your space. You just get mad and you bust his car windows out and you put sugar water in his gas tank. Ask me how I know about that one. Put sugar water in the gas tank, things of that nature. But in a couple weeks pass and subside, you be right back with the nigga doing it again. And then he doing it again, and you just ain't got the proof, or you tired and you don't want to deal with it. No. you need to reshape and remold what's really going on and understand what's potentially within your original nature. All right. That's real shit. So we need to be able to have these kind of conversations and deal with it. It's sometimes people can't even have a conversation about, that kind of stuff, polygamy or open relationships, without getting mad. And it's just a conversation. What's triggering you so bad that you can't even have a conversation? What's going on? And I get it. The truth of the matter is, you ain't been loved by one man from that Disney fairy tale, in a sense. And that fairy tale, to me, I believe, is absolutely a beautiful reality. It can happen. It will happen. It shall happen for you, right? And you haven't had it, and so it's a hurt piece to a degree. And then, especially if it comes from, like, I know women who won't give you a tongue kiss, but they'll give you sex, right? Because they feel like sex is regular. You do that, but they don't even know that they're not even connected to the lips on their face, which is more stimulating to the brain because it's closer. You understand what I'm saying? You get more brain stimulation out of kiss and saliva than you do from sexual secretions. Okay? It's really more intimate here than it is down there. Okay? But they're so cut off from that because maybe they dad said they was going to come and get them and didn't come get them as a kid. Right? So then they can have some daddy issues. Ask me how I know about that. Right? And so, and I'm talking about the kissing part. Right? And so, but you can also have women who may have daddy issues, but are absolutely great lovers. But it's something that you could do that could trigger something. You see what I'm saying? And so now, since that's unresolved, right, then that's a disadvantage and it's not fair to the relationship. So what I'm really expecting is for us to be able to identify what the problem is, most importantly, successfully resolve it, transmute it. It's gone, right? Because again, nobody really want to deal with no problems, man. I'm telling you, you don't. It starts to destroy the quality and the fabric of the relationship like that when it keeps repeating itself, right? And so what I'm expecting is to, one, get a nature, understand everything I mentioned previously. Two, what is the problem, and successfully transmute that particular problem. And then, of course, in conjunction with understanding your style, being able to come on and say, yeah, I'm a yin girl, but I got a little bit of yang. I do my thing. I got great credit. I want some real estate investment for myself and the portfolio and things, so I can have the time to do whatever it is I want to do and sit on my porch and drink lemonade. So I'm going to work hard. She may be in that phase of consciousness. That don't mean that she's not a woman, right? But, that's very much so. Can be that, right? And so this totally depends where she at, but she need to identify, I think, in my opinion, these two styles within yin or within yin yang, and in conjunction with, understanding the original nature and the natural selection of things, as far as, how to pick a partner and whatnot, and then everything can be Gucci. So that's what I expect, you know what I'm saying? So, but I know what the real question is. The real question is, well, nigga, you simping, you saying men should be able to cut the check for these women. What should these women do then? Yeah, I said it. I said that men should be, if you're going to practice with a woman, and pour into her cup. And see, my goal is to be the friend that you never had, right? Especially from a male's perspective, you know what I'm saying? To be a great friend with you. See, my goal is, I'm just going to keep it a buck, right? So, listen, and I ain't trying to sound egotistical, but I just got to tell the truth, right? Like, everything I'm telling you is the truth. That's the thing. Me and Jew got this saying. Am I lying? And I be cracking up. Jew be on some shit. Like, no, why can't I say it, man? Am I lying? I ain't lying, no. Nah, nigga, you ain't lying, man. So if I ain't lying, why can't I say it, right? So, all right, cool. Listen, I'm talking about pouring in your cup and giving you so much of whatever it is that I can give you. But I'm also the type of dude that ain't gonna fuck you, right? Don't mean that I ain't never fucked nobody. Just be real, right? There's stages to this thing. So now what happens when you dealing with a kind of guy that really want to pour into you, but ain't going to take advantage of the fact that both of y'all got this connection that's all hot and steamy as well, and ain't going to fly you in or whatever the case may be and link up and y'all go to Miami or do whatever y'all do. Like, that's different. You understand what I'm saying? So I guess for me, man, I think that men, and I know this is about women, But I think that men need to understand the different states of male consciousness. I'm in my King Solomon phase of consciousness. I got shit going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 20 plus doors and rental properties. I'm 13 vacant land parcels, 12 in which I want to develop, right? Like, you know, I'm in my state of building some shit. About to put the residential, you know, retreat in the mountains somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I got things that I'm personally doing that's building for self, and those who want to come along for the ride that accept this as the truth and want to really surrender to it. Like, yo, I know this was up, right? People know, man, they know. You know, we've been paying people's bills via the Love Fund since 2012. And here we are in 2023 for what? What's that? 11 years straight every month, right? So I do community stuff like that, you know? And so, you know, my goal is I'm building. And so in that, you know, in the Bible, that's Solomon who's building the temple, right? In a sense, right? But the King Solomon state of consciousness is he also made sure that these women was good. This wasn't about, see, Solomon wasn't Judah. Judah fucked Tamar because he thought he was getting a piece of pussy from a prostitute on the side of the road. That's a real story. Go read into that story, Judah and Tamar, right? But Solomon is the state of consciousness that said, hey, you as beautiful women, I got it within my resources. And they like, yeah, but I want to worship this God. And this one like, yeah, I want to worship this one. And God like, yo, man, they supposed to be worshiping the God that you worship. And Solomon is like, yeah, I know, man, but God, I gotta let them do what they do. I got them. Let me take care of them. I got them. And he did that. And Solomon's punishment is very interesting to me. It wasn't one of death. It wasn't one of something that was something cruel. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like his daddy's punishment. His daddy's punishment for being bogus. David for being bogus, for sleeping with Bathsheba, you know, and having her husband killed to get her. The firstborn was, you know, was living for a quick second, then died. And then Solomon came, right? And then Solomon is like, nah, I'm in my state of consciousness where I'm going to make sure that the feminine principle is good. And there wasn't no severe punishment for that. All right, so I'm just happen to be in my Solomon phase of where I'm at, right? And see, this is the thing. Historically speaking, man, again, you got to watch that movie, you know, to live to be 100. You got to understand the feminine principle, because the feminine principle is absolutely the safety mechanism. The male principle is active. If this active person ain't right and you let them in, you're stuck. It's called your baby mama. It's called you pregnant, he gone, and you got to work while you pregnant. And it's called now you got to go get assistance from the government. So you're the safety mechanism. I'm not absolving him from his responsibility. I'm simply saying, as a woman, you have to understand you are the last safety mechanism we have in society. This is why you will see the picture of Noble Ali when he came out with the Moorish Science Temple. Uplifting fallen humanity, he's carrying a woman. This is why you hear Elijah Muhammad said, if you want to raise a nation, majority of the work has to be done on a woman. You understand that? Okay? So we got to really understand that, man. All right? Going back a little bit, digressing a little bit to understanding original nature, Wu Chi, the primordial beginning of the heavens before the manifest universe. The manifest universe is known as Tai Chi, which is yin and yang together. We got to understand that we roll together and stop this, you know, stop this madness, right? When I was looking at, when I showed y'all the Wolfian duck, I said, oh, God damn it, how I missed that? If you look at the Wolfian duck clearly, which the Wolfian duck develops into testicles in the male sexual reproductive organs. But inside of that, you see something called the Malarian duck. The Malarian duck develops as fallopian tubes in the female reproductive cycle if you become a woman. Look how the woman is inside of the man. And so when you see the story of Eve coming out of the side of Adam, they're not trying to tell you that a man is here first. Only thing they're starting with is the active principle. Because it's active principle, then receptive principle gives birth to active principle, then active principle impregnates, you know, the feminine principle, and it keeps going into this beautiful circle. It's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? It's a circle that both beings came into existence at the same time, silly. I don't know how you don't get that. But see, what I'm expecting to answer this question from a spiritual angle, a woman around me, a woman in this, she knows that. Because now I just showed you the biology. And that's nature. You can't argue with that. Okay? Well, look at a flower, especially a tulip. When you look at the female parts and masculine parts of a flower, you call anthers and pistils, right? These are female male parts inside of one flower. Okay? So we are really dual beings within, made manifest on one particular plane, and therefore we need the other dual being made manifest on one particular plane to coalesce as Tai Chi, the great unison of the energy. Okay? Now, I hope that answers the question. Oh, and let me say this in closing though. You got to protect what you have, man. You got to watch out for the evil eye, right? You got to watch out for that. And it's a fact that observation through quantum physics called the observation effect. So invisible energy as a wave exists as a wave. And then doing the experiment known as a double slit experiment, they put a camera here to watch the wave go through this hole in the wall. And then when it knew the camera was there, that wave condensed and turned into a particle. You take the camera away, a wave. Put something there to measure and observe, particle. And it was like, oh shit. The wave, which is invisible information, knows that something is trying to watch it. So this is why when somebody looks at you, you can feel it. There's an energy that comes with it. Say, yo, what you looking at? You know what I'm saying? Because it's an energy there, right? And this is why you have the amulets such as the evil eye, known as the Hamza, known as the Eye of Fatima, the hand with the eye in it, or the Eye of Ra, to repel the evil onlookers. So observation can absolutely affect reality. So now when you're in a relationship and you're not careful and you got people observing the relationship, or you got some drama and you go tell about your drama, a lot of people ain't balanced enough as a judge would be or should be, right? A judge is supposed to represent the highest seat of wisdom, to be able to be impartial and be like, nah, you wrong. Nah. And so if a person ain't there, you got to be careful, because they own fears or insecurities or social programming as well, may be on some like, nah, you shouldn't, blah, 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 and start to go into a whole nother place than which you absolutely instinctually desire. So you got your instinct, you got a natural instinct, but then somebody's observation via opinion, because you didn't share, right, via opinion, that could start to alter your reality some. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be real careful on how to protect what you got going on. It's kind of like not telling people your business plans in a sense, before it really, before you got it in motion. Once you know it's unstoppable in a sense, right? Because now you have to contend with the mental space. See, man, I close with this, man. My homie Jew, he a mailman. And dogs got a biological, natural instinct to fuck the mailman up. And I was like, nigga, I bet them dogs be dreaming about you. And he's like, I know, man, it's fucked up, ain't it, right? I know they be dreaming about biting you. And then I wonder if they wake up like, damn, it was just a dream. And they can't wait to see you that day. You know what I'm saying? Like, really think about that, man. Like, it's a little inside thing with us, man. That's just hilarious to me. You know what I'm saying? But seriously, observation can affect reality. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be very very mindful of what you share, all right, and who you share with, okay? And again, somebody can really mean you. I mean, they're on their level where they at, though. So it's sincere, but it's sincerely them. But nope, sincerely them may come with cultural programming and stigmatization and is in complete opposition to your natural instinct. See, in order to be great, for real, especially to be a pioneer, see, inventors always break the mold. Everybody told you tripping. You ain't gonna be able to sit here and have some device that's recording you and then be able to push it out and send it invisibly as a video file up to some place that exists, and then the whole world gonna be able to see it. Imagine telling somebody that in 1700s and founding of this country that they're gonna be able to do something like that. You see what I'm saying? So inventors always break the mold, and you have to know when to be inventive in your life, okay? And break the mold, because it's always going to contradict the status quo. And when you're in the age of Aquarius, everything has to have a touch on it. And maybe we'll do a video on that as well, okay? All right, man, I'm gonna get out of here. Hope that answers the question. I ain't gonna tell you what I personally want, because I think that's where you're going. It's none of your business. You understand? Just know that I believe men should pour in the women's cup. I believe we should strive to be your best friend as a man. We should understand that we have creative energy. There comes a level of responsibility. I think as a woman, she has to identify what it is as far as her style of woman, or what it is, and then that's what y'all talk about and what she brings to the table, because it's not a one size fits all, okay? So I can't say. I just know from a man's perspective what we put in, okay? All right, because you got some dudes that stand in the back room of their mama house with a little toy dog, and they 30 years old, you know what I'm saying, in their 30s, you know what I mean? Ain't being men. So anyway, I'm out. Peace.